Good evening, you're watching Estuary News. In tonight's show, alterations to a busy junction in New Waltham, and we meet a Hull man who is the youngest remaining D-Day veteran in the UK. Plus, I'm joined on the sofa by our very own Fred for a City of Culture roundup. And before that, Barton's Naomi Train is here to tell me all about the Miss Progress competition. North East Lincolnshire Council has unveiled further details of the change of the toll bar roundabout into a traffic light system. The council says that more than 2,500 vehicles and around 950 pedestrians use the junction every morning. The change to traffic lights will reduce traffic congestion and allow for safer pedestrian crossings. The council will also be holding 2 drop-in events for people who want to find out more about the junction upgrade. The first will take place on Tuesday, the 24th of October at Waltham Library. The second will take place on Wednesday, the 25th of October at St Matthew's Church Hall in New Waltham. Councillor David Watson says the upgrade will help to tackle the area's traffic congestion.
The problem we've got at the moment with well, it's not a problem really, with the growth agenda, there's going to be a lot of houses in the area, and it's essential that we deal with the traffic flow in that area. And the modelling suggested that the current roundabout is not suitable, it's got uncontrolled crossing points, the traffic's uncontrolled, and so it really a signalised junction with controlled traffic points is a lot safer for pedestrians, road users and cyclists. School children and pedestrians use what they call the desire line, and the desire line is near the roundabout. So the natural thing is to put control crossing points at that desire line, and that can only be done with the signalised junction.
What we're intending to do is maintain traffic flows on the A16, both north and southbound, through the junction at all times during the construction period. There may be some localised road closures to enable some of the work to be completed on the A16, but we'll try and do those at a time which will cause least disruption. For some of the construction period, we're going to shut Station Road, which is the station road on the eastern and western legs of the approach. There will be a fully signed diversion route for traffic that would normally go through the junction, and what we're hoping to do at some point during the construction period is reintroduce the ability for traffic to come out of Station Road back onto the A16 as soon as it's safe for us to be able to do that.
Well, future projects, NG are always looking for future projects to work with our growth agenda, and it's clear that with the housing development in that area, something needed done at Toll Bar Roundabout, and there was a funding bid put into the Lincolnshire LEP, and we were successful, and that project's going ahead.
A 72-year-old man was knocked off his mobility scooter in Hull on Monday evening. He was crossing Hall Road at a pedestrian crossing when he was hit by a car which failed to stop at the crossing. The man was taken to Hull Royal Infirmary with minor injuries. Police are appealing for witnesses, especially anybody who stopped to help the man. If you have information, please call 101, quoting log number 497 and the date of the collision, 2nd of the 10th, 17. And Humberside Police have launched an appeal to find an injured man wandering in the East March area of Grimsby. The man was seen walking from Stanley Street towards Freeman Street on Sunday the 1st of October at about 10:30 p.m. He was shoeless and suffering from head and facial injuries. It's believed that he might have been attacked or robbed. Despite extensive searches for more than 3 days, police are unable to find him and are concerned for his welfare. The man's thought to be in his 20s, average build and with scruffy hair. Anyone with information that could help on that investigation, please call the police on 101, quoting log number 579 of the date 1st of the 10th, 17. Northern Rail has embarked on further strike action today. The new strike action comes after disputes over the future of guards on trains. Services will only be operating from between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. A reduced number of 1,200 services has been operating today. Northern themselves have warned commuters to expect today's train services and any replacement bus services to be extremely busy. North East Lincolnshire Council's Planning Committee meets next Wednesday to decide whether or not the development of a new £14 million custody suite in Grimsby should go ahead. Humberside Police submitted an application for the suite earlier this year. It will be built on vacant brownfield land on Birchin Way and replace existing custody suites in both Grimsby and Scunthorpe. Planners at North East Lincolnshire Council have recommended the scheme for approval. If accepted, it could be opened by March 2019. I'm joined now by Naomi Train, who's here to tell me all about representing her country, that being this country, in the Miss Progress competition in Italy. Naomi, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
You look extremely elegant, if I may say.
Thank you.
This is not just a normal conventional beauty pageant, though, is it? It's a bit more complicated than that.
Yeah, so Miss Progress is a competition which really allows you to make a difference in your community. So a lot of the judging is based on your project which you submit to them. So each country, there's quite a few countries involved, will be assigned a topic. We've got human rights as our topic, but some other countries may have health or environment.
So first of all, you won the Miss Progress United Kingdom.
Yes.
And that was by submitting an idea for, I suppose, just a benevolent project.
Yes.
And so as Miss United Kingdom, you're representing the Miss Progresses of this country.
Yeah.
In the world final, as it were.
Yeah.
Italy.
Italy, yeah. Puglia, Italy, yeah.
Okay, that's an absolutely beautiful part of the world. Have you ever been before?
No, I'm so excited to go though.
We'll talk about your project in a moment, but just first of all, what will you be doing whilst you're down in Apulia?
Well, from our itinerary we got where we get sent a list of outfits to take, it does say something about a ballet.
Lovely.
So we might be going to a ballet. Last year they met the mayor and they done galas, they went on boat trips, they did a bike ride through some mountains.
Yes.
So we haven't actually been told what we're going to do, but we'll definitely be doing lots of stuff. We're there for 10 days, so 7 days of that we will be out exploring and making a difference.
It's very beautiful, and the main thing that you'll be doing is eating.
Wow, yes.
Food in Apulia.
Try not to bloat too much or else won't fit in my dresses.
It's magnificent. Now, the competition, as it were, is about the project as much as anything else. What is your project?
So we got assigned human rights. I specialise at North Lindsey College studying sports. So what I've kind of done is kind of tried to link that with my project of human rights. What basically, in the more deprived areas, the obesity levels are higher.
That's in this country?
In this country, yeah. So my project is basically to focus on the deprived areas to make sure that all the children get the same sort of rights as the other children in the least deprived areas. So I'm doing a research proposal at the minute at university which looks into why the obesity levels are actually higher in the deprived areas. So my findings from that will help me kind of put my project, finalise it. But what I would like to do is work with schools, deliver a 6-week programme which can educate the teachers, the children, so then they're able to then carry it on with the children. Because obviously I'm quite busy, I'm at uni, I work, I've got 2 children, so to be able to get lots of schools in at once, it's going to be a bit hard, so we'll...
So specifically, is that an obesity problem in the more deprived areas?
Yes.
Is that specifically among children or is that among the population as a whole?
As a whole, but I would like to focus on children, and then another part of my project is to go in the community, which will then allow the families to come together, and I would like to set up a community gym, which is not like your standard gym where anyone can go to. It'll be more of a one-to-one. So families can come to me and they won't have the pressure of feeling uncomfortable if they went to the gym. It'll be more like a one-to-one service where they feel like they can actually take part in physical activity. They can ask me any questions on food choices and stuff like that without feeling like they're being judged. Because I think a lot of that is, as well as in schools, a lot of the children, if they don't feel like they're good at something, they won't come to the after-school clubs because they don't feel like they're good enough to be in it. So again, that's another thing.
The little boy or girl who's always the last to be chosen for a team
yeah.
syndrome, isn't it? I know it well.
So yeah, focusing on those people who fall into those categories is something I really, really want to do.
I know it's maybe premature to ask before you've completed the research, but what are the sort of early signs? Why is there this correlation between the more deprived parts of the country and obesity?
I think mainly it's more the opportunities they don't have. So say if you go to a place which is not as deprived as other areas, they have lots of sports clubs, they have loads of gyms there, they've got a lot of stuff in the community already, and the people living in deprived areas may not have the transport or the financial stability to be able to go to those other places to take their children to sports.
Am I being a grumpy old man if I want to ascribe some blame to digital devices and screens and people just sitting down for far too long?
Yes.
Am I? Okay.
Yes. I think technology has a huge impact on that. It's crazy. Like when I was younger, like I'm not very old, but you used to go out and play with your friends and knock on their door if they ask them if they want to come out. Now it's just like texting, always in your phone.
When you, I was going to say if, but I'm going to prefer to say when you win this competition in Italy and become a world Miss Progress, what do you get? What's the reward?
So we get funding to be able to set up the project back in our countries. So yeah. So
it's not just a chunk of money given to you. This is research funding to go towards the project that you're doing.
So I'll be able to set up my community gym. I'll be able to get into schools and get all the training, and because like obviously you need checks done.
Have a fantastic time in Italy. Good luck.
Thank you.
Come back with the money.
Cheers.
Join me after the break. Dan will bring us all the news for local sport, and Fred will have the latest from the City of Culture. Welcome back. You're still watching Estuary News. Still to come tonight, Dan brings us the latest sports news, and I'll be talking about the City of Culture with our very own Fred. The UK's youngest living D-Day veteran has been back in his home city today. Hull man Jim Radford, now 89, is an international folk and shanty singer. He was performing and speaking at the 9th UK Maritime Heritage Forum, which is taking place at the Guildhall over the next few days. Maritime Heritage is an opportunity for people in the maritime heritage industry to get together and share ideas. Jim signed up as a deep-sea rescue tugman, aged just 15, in 1944.
But as he walks the streets of Liverpool, Cardiff or London town, he'll pass 1 million people there, and some of them may frown. For he doesn't wear a uniform that tells you what he's done. He's just the merchant seaman that we all depend upon.
The rescue tug's story is, as I tell people, the biggest untold story of the Second World War. Very few people know how crucial rescue tugs were, and a great many of the rescue tugs were a special naval service in the war. They took fishermen and men off other ships into this special branch of the Royal Navy called T124T, better known as the Tatty Lads, and they sent them to sea on the tug, crash-built tugs. The tugs went with the convoys, bringing back ships that were torpedoed or bombed that didn't sink. We brought them back, and that made a crucial difference, because if we hadn't been there and rescued those ships, then we would have lost the Battle of the Atlantic. It's as simple as that, and that was the most important battle of the war. I'm a Hull man, born and bred in Hull. Sailed out of Hull on April 1944. My first trip turned out to be the famous Corn Cob convoy, which went around Britain in the worst weather for 40 years, collecting the block ships for that we scuttled at Arromanches a month later on June the 6th, D-Day. So I didn't know at the time that was where I was going, but that's how I became the youngest, apparently Britain's youngest D-Day veteran.
A mural is now complete in the Cartergate underpass in Grimsby. It depicts the heritage of Grimsby, packed with plenty of famous faces. It's been developed by Creative Start, a company which encourages local people to pick up a brush and discover their artistic talents, regardless of the skills they may or may not have. The mural was created as a way of preserving Grimsby's heritage, but also raising aspirations for those who may come to see it. Councillor Jane Holden King of North East Lincolnshire Council hopes the mural can ignite old memories.
I think the idea was, when we were having this new build, Wilkin and Chapman's solicitors' offices placed there, we realised we had to revamp the area and looking at putting all new pavement down, because this is sort of going to be the opening to the actual St James Square. This is just the beginning. So obviously we've got this wonderful building here, and now we've got this wonderful mural. You said about what will people get from it. They'll get a lot, because as I was coming through, as it was being painted, I was captivated by it, because I could see people I recognised, Shirley Bloomer, the tennis player, and numerous people, and actually seeing the row of shops that used to be in Chantry Lane. There, I just felt I was back in times.
Well, it's nice to be in clothes that aren't covered in paint for a change, and it's brilliant to get it done. We've been here a few months now. Everything is painted in brush. So it's all hand painted, so it takes a long time. A lot of us are parents and we've got other jobs, and so we haven't had a lot of time down here in the week, but when we've been down here it's been pretty full on. So the fact that we've been able to tap into the pride of local people, that they feel some ownership of this, which is what we wanted to achieve. The fact that, I don't want to tempt fate here, but it hasn't been damaged yet, and that the people actually feel like they own it, and that was what we wanted to achieve. There was a group of us, there was up to 20 people that come together to do this piece of art, and it was designed in a way that anybody could come down and help us. You know, it was designed for that purpose, to be something that people could get involved in. As long as they could pick up a brush, they can do a bit and add a bit to it.
I just think it's a wonderful opening. This underpass is the opening to what is coming in the future, because we know there's going to be redevelopment as well in the St James Square, and the church are very much involved. And then obviously with the Grimsby project in the background, it is about really making the people in North East Lincolnshire and Grimsby feel they can come into town and really enjoy the history and the heritage of what we've got.
And apologies for mispronouncing there, that was Councillor Jane Hilden King. The 724th Hull Fair gets underway tomorrow. This year's fair will have tightened security with more police officers on patrol. The Humberside Force recommends that small children should wear a harness or wrist link to stop them getting lost. Thousands of people are likely to attend each of the 8 days of the fair. Now I'm joined now by our very own Fred Mcnamara for our latest City of Culture Roundup. Fred, welcome. You're doing a splendid job replacing Luke.
Well, I try my best to, but no one could replace
He is
Luke.
irreplaceable, you're quite right. What's going on in Hull, in the City of Culture?
Well, Hugh, it's the final season of City of Culture, Tell the World, the fourth and final season. It's happening between October and January of next year, but it seems as though City of Culture has saved perhaps the biggest for last. It appears as though City of Culture are bringing the end of the world itself to Hull.
How cheerful.
Indeed. They're bringing it through something called Flood, which is this multimedia theatre experience that's been playing throughout this past year in different stages, different parts. There have been part 1, part 2 and part 3 earlier this year. Now, however, it is time for part 4, and it's this huge, immersive, interactive media experience by James Phillips. It appears to tell the story of this post-apocalyptic world. One world ends and another begins, using Hull as something of a backdrop, really.
It's all very Old Testament, isn't it? Are we going to have
Indeed.
animals going in 2 by 2?
Well, there's no mention of animals, but there's mentions of, you can find past parts of Flood online. There's been work with the BBC. Past parts have been produced in cooperation with the BBC. This final part, though, part 4, New World, the apocalypse appears to have been and gone, as it were. Now it's time for a new world, and this is a very gargantuan-sounding experience happening between, it's already taken place between the 26th and 29th of September, but if you'd like to see part 2 and part 4 together, they'll be on a double bill from the 4th, I believe that was yesterday, I believe it was, from the 8th of October. And that's down in Victoria Dock, a 3.5-hour show that's, well, I'll tell you all about it, because I'll be going there tomorrow, I believe.
I look forward to hearing about it, Fred. That sounds absolutely fantastic.
Indeed.
One more very quickly. There's one more item.
One more, yes. There is Hull Portrait of a City. This appears to be sort of culture within culture. It appears to be a kind of summary of Hull's, perhaps, identity as a cultural city. It's a new photography exhibition put together by Magnum Photos. It's a bespoke exhibition from the minds of Martin Parr and Olivia Arthur.
And where is it?
It would be at the Humber Street Gallery from the 13th of October to the 31st of December.
Fred, thank you very much. Enjoy that multimedia show. Flood, I hope it's not too depressing.
Well, I'll let you know, Hugh.
Thanks, Fred.
Thank you, Hugh.
Here's Dan with the sport.
Grimsby Town's game on Saturday could be made a little tougher by the appointment of a new manager, according to the Mariners boss Russell Slade. Neil Aspin will take charge of the home side Port Vale. Slade says they've had a difficult start to the season, but believes they'll turn it around. Meanwhile, with the Town team, Nathan Clark and Luke Summerfield are both doubts for the weekend's game after not training all week. Clark has a thigh injury, while Summerfield has injured his groin. Striker Akwasi Asante, who came through his first game since March unscathed for the reserves yesterday, will have to undergo more minutes in the reserves before being considered for first-team selection. Scunthorpe United's Connor Townsend remains on the sidelines for their weekend game against Wigan. He's Graham Alexander's only short-term absentee for the game, which could see the Iron return to the League One playoffs. Rugby now, and Hull FC forward Mark Minicello will captain Italy at this year's Rugby League World Cup. The Australian-born second rower was named in Italy's train-on squad last month for the tournament that gets underway later in October. Minicello's brother Anthony is part of their coaching staff. Meanwhile, Tongan pairs Sika Manu and Mahe Whenua have both been named in their squad for the competition. And former Hull Kingston Rovers player Peter Fox has retired today. He spent 3 years at the Robins between 2008 and 2011 during the peak of his career. The winger scored 61 tries in 110 Rovers appearances. And that's all for the sport.
Thanks very much, Dan. If you'd like to vote for Naomi Train in this Miss Progress competition, you can find the Miss Progress page on Facebook and give her a bit of support there. If you'd like to get in touch with us, then we look forward to hearing from you. You can use news@estuary.tv 01472 31 555 or you can use Twitter or Facebook, and you can write to us. From everybody here, until tomorrow, good evening.